So now we're ready to cut out, and I'm using a fabric which I got from Fabric Worm, and this is by Birch Fabrics. It's really, really lovely actually, and it's a two-way stretch, and I've got another two-way stretch there for the facings. Then you need your stretchy knit interfacing. That's different because you want to be able to get into it and still retain the stretch, the pattern, and a little bit of cotton for the pocket. And that's it. We can get started now. I always just fold over the side so that I get a selvage on both sides. That is always better. I tend to cut out the length as much as I can, especially if I've got, like, say you bought more fabric and you bought like 3 yards. What you want to do is work along the length upwards rather than across, because the length is always what you will run out first, you know. So although you can work across it if you bought the right amount for it as indicated in the pattern, but I mean, I always get way more than I need, and in that case always work along the side so you have as much as possible left over. And that's my front. I've got it, and it's cut on the forward. Same with the back. You can see now I've just moved up with my piece here. I've put them next to each other and I'm working up, not across the fabric, and I cut from the left so that I help myself. My left hand always holds the fabric, is always in charge of helping my right hand maneuver around. And whether you're cutting out from the right, which is a little bit harder than from the left, you need that hand to help you out. Cutting out is actually a real skill. And watch this, I'm just coming around. I use the tip of my scissors when I cut around curves, for example. Now I can take off my weights, they're really cute. They're from a little English shop on Etsy.com. And open this one up, and that was of course also on the fold. So I've got the front and the back. You've only got 2 pieces, and then the back will fold over like this, and that'll make your dungies. So now, normally for the facings and the interfacing, you'd cut it out separately. And I just want to show you this little tip here, because actually, why do that when you could have so much time saved by just ironing the interfacing to the underside of your knit or your jersey? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut it out. There isn't much waste. If it was very wasteful, I wouldn't do it, but it really isn't. You have a tiny bit left over at the end of this. And so I cut my square just big enough, and then I'm going to go and I iron it on. I've done that, and now I fold it over and cut both of them. And maybe don't do this at home, children, with your hands. People that have sewn for a long time tend to just do this, and I know exactly where to hold it, and so I don't need to pin it. Beginners should absolutely pin it or use your fabric weights, and then as you become more experienced, you can be like naughty and do it like I am doing it here, because it's way quicker. And that's my back. Beautiful. And I can now also do my front, and it's done really quickly. This is awesome. I'm just go around, cut out my front, and there you go, both pieces done. What else do we need? We need the pocket, and again I use the same technique. Again, I'm just putting my lining for the pocket just on top of the fabric, and then my pattern on top, and that way I don't have to cut them singularly, and also they'll be exactly the same shape. So if you cut it a little bit wrong, they'll be wrong in the same way, which is a good thing. So so always make it easier on yourself. Don't waste your time. I'm using a lining here. You don't have to. You could just overlock all the way around and then turn in the edges. But I do find that you get a better result if you use a really lightweight lining. And also it might be nice to use a contrast, although you don't really see anything of it. So, and then I need to cut out my gusset, and I'm cutting it out so I have the least amount of little birds, so it doesn't matter whether it's upside down or not. And we want to mark the center on both sides, really, and that way it'll be easier to put in. And that's it. We've cut everything out, and we can now put together as the very first thing our pocket. So I'll see you there in a bit.